So talking about stress and mental health, right? So the first takeaway of this story is that, like I just said, really everybody in the world goes through stressful things from time to time, right? In our lives, there are ups and downs. Life can feel like a roller coaster. And depending on who you are, where you live, where you're brought up, what kind of community you belong to, you may have more or less experiences of adversity or stress, right? But everyone in their life goes through stress and even trauma, which is like a big stress, right? From time to time. Now, if we were to name different types of trauma, there are lots of different types of trauma that people can go through. So one of the traumas that we talked about in the story was loss, right? Somebody dying. And everybody experiences that at some point in their life because that's part of the natural life cycle, right? Sometimes people die because they're old. Sometimes they're taken from us through, upsetting events or bad things that happen, right? But everybody goes through that at some point in their life. There are other kinds of traumatic stressors like accidents, right? So car accidents or even natural disasters, hurricanes, fires, things like that. Then there's also things that are stressful, that are traumatic, not because it's an accident, but because maybe somebody's trying to hurt somebody else on purpose. And that does happen sometimes, right? It's terrible, but that's the truth. It's the truth that sometimes people hurt each other. We should never do that, but it does happen, right? So there's a lot of different things that people go through. Maybe having a family member incarcerated or taken to jail, or I could go on and on. There's all sorts of different things. But it's natural for these sorts of things to happen throughout your life at one point or another. And it's not something necessarily to be scared of. It's just something to notice and honor and deal with when it occurs. Okay. So takeaway number one is that everyone goes through stressful things sometimes. So if you've been through something stressful in your life that you have felt like you didn't know how to talk about, I want you to know that you are not alone. Okay. A lot of times we bottle things up inside, or maybe we've been told even not to talk about certain things that we go through. And it can kind of feel lonely holding those stories or just holding those experiences all by yourself. So I want you to know that if you've ever been through something like this, you're not alone. Okay. Everybody goes through different things at different times. Takeaway number two is that when you go through these kinds of stressful experiences or traumatic experiences, it can really affect the way you think about yourself and the way that you behave or the way that you act in the world. So sometimes when we go through difficult things, it can make you, like I said, it can sort of make you feel upset. It can make you feel depressed. It can make you feel anxious. It can make you feel angry. It can make you have all sorts of different emotions. And generally, when we go through tough things in our life, it can kind of drag you down, right? It can make you think like, gosh, why me? Or all kinds of certain people are bad. Or what's another thought that sometimes kids have sometimes? I'm never going to go anywhere. My future doesn't hold anything good for me. And it's simply not true. But a lot of times kids will start to think those kinds of things when they're under a lot of stress. Also, when you're really stressed out, because you're having all these feelings, it can make you sort of act a little bit different towards the people you love, towards your friends, maybe even towards your teachers, right? So maybe normally you love school, but when you go through something that's challenging, you don't care about school as much because you're thinking about something else. or you're exhausted from just dealing with whatever the stressful thing is, right? Or you're angry and irritable, so you lash out at a friend and then they get angry at you and you end up in an argument with a friend or something, right? It's normal to have stressful things affect the way you think about yourself and the way you interact with other people. And those are some of those warning signs that you can look out for, right? So if you know, okay, I'm going through something kind of stressful right now, if you notice yourself starting to think things that are negative about yourself, or starting to act out, either sort of isolating yourself, withdrawing from other people that you care about, or acting out in a sort of more irritable kind of way, those are some signs that maybe you need to show yourself a little bit of love or seek out some support from somebody else, right? So takeaway number 3 from this story is that everybody has strength inside of themselves to help them get through hard times. So people are really resilient. And again, if you're not familiar with that word, it means that you have strength to go through really, really challenging things in your life. People don't just, go through something hard and fall over and sort of be like, goodbye forever world, right? You kind of got to go through a lot before you sort of break down in that kind of a way. If you think about it, we're kind of like balloon, like I'm going to think of a metaphor here. So if you think of yourself like a balloon, okay? And if a balloon isn't filled up, it's kind of empty, right? If you think about, if you go through something stressful and think of that as like hot air that you're blowing into this balloon, the balloon blows up a little bit, right? And then maybe something else bad happens, it gets bigger, and then something else stressful happens, and all of a sudden this balloon is huge and it's ready to pop. It only takes one more little thing, maybe somebody looking at you the wrong way or saying something to you that you don't like, and then all of a sudden it's like, pop, wah, right? And you're upset and there's a big mess and a loud noise and whatever, right? But it wasn't just this one little thing. It's like sort of all these things together, right? So if you didn't have all those things, you would still be pretty resilient. We can hold a lot in our lives. But if there's nowhere to go, or if you don't talk to anybody about some of those stressful things, eventually people's resilience kind of cracks or pops, or we all get a little bit weird sometimes from time to time when we're going through stress. So, but the key takeaway is that everybody has strength. You have capacity to hold a lot, but you have to find ways to get support or let it out from time to time to maintain that resilience. You can't just hold all these stressful things by yourself and imagine that your mental health and your physical health is going to be okay. You've got to let some of that stuff out. So key takeaway number 4 is that it's okay to ask for help when you need it, right? So Miss Kendra talked to kids about things that were going on in their life, and it was really helpful for them to be able to express it, to let it out. And what I have found, being a therapist and also working with a lot of kids in schools, is that when we do that, it kind of is like letting the hot air back out of that balloon, right? It kind of goes, and then we're ready to engage and to go back into our lives and be able to hold a lot more, right? It's important to be able to find ways to let it out, to let out your stress. And there's a lot of different ways that you can do that. So one way is talking, right? So Ms. Kendra talked to students about the difficult things that they were going through. But, not everybody likes to talk. And some kids feel like, I don't want to share my business with people that I'm not familiar with, or who knows if I tell my business to somebody, what's going to happen with that, right? So there are other ways to be able to let out some of the stressful things that you're going through by expressing yourself through the arts. So doing some artwork, right? Like Ria with her painting, or singing, like Tabisa, and putting your story and your life's energy and emotionality into a song that you're singing can be a really powerful way to let some of that out. Or writing, right? Writing a story, writing a poem like Sun Queen, getting your thoughts, getting your stress out of your body and into something else, whether it's another person or whether it's through the arts. Some kids like to do it through sports or dance, right? Moving in their body, getting it out that way. All of those things are so, so important and can help you to stay strong even when you're going through a difficult time. Okay. So that was kind of like the red bead of Miss Kendra. It's a reminder that you have strength inside of you and that it's okay to let some of this stuff out in whatever way feels good to you. Just find a way to take care of yourself, to seek support if you need it, and know that you're important, that you matter, that you are loved, and that there's so many people in this world who care about you and want you to be okay. And that's why we're here today, right? To find some, to build, to cultivate space for you all to share, right? To open yourself and to let it out, whether there's something stressful or just something wonderful that you want to share with us about you. And I think, I don't know if I can speak on behalf of everyone here, but I think we're really excited to get to know you and to be in this space with you. So that's where I'm going to leave it for today, Tabisa. But I want to open it up if anybody has any questions about mental health or about the arts, if there are other panelists who want to open it up. Let me stop sharing my screen.